our head because of him. We eat that sandwich, you know. And that's basically what I grew up with in my mind, you know, thinking like, wow, I can't get this man mad, you know, like trying to be a child and not being able to, you know, to be a child, you know, like
right.
I didn't have friends. I had one of my best friends that tried to come over and, you know, she would like run, you know, and I never knew what was going on, you know.
Right.
I know he was abusing me. She never told me anything. I never saw her after a couple of times, and you know, I didn't know, you know, I didn't know what was going on. But so I mean, basically, I would go to school, and I know that my mom used to tell me all the time, "Do good," and that was basically my whole thing. Like I just thought, like, well, I have to be doing good in school.
So mom was pretty much short and brief.
Yeah,
Yeah.
short and brief. So she didn't really parent me that much at all. And, you know, like I said, when I was in junior high, I was very rebellious, and I used to scream and yell at my stepfather. You know, he used to abuse me, and there was a couple of incidents where I used to see my stepfather flirt with women, the neighbors. My mom was pregnant from my stepfather's son, and my mom got into a fight, you know, holding her stomach with the woman who came over and yelled at her, and my mom got up and just over my stepfather. And then I would see incidents where my mom would run to the bed, he was running after his gun and his knife, and just like all this nonsense stuff.
So there was a lot of domestic violence in the home. There was a lot of alcohol in the home.
Yeah.
There was, he abused you, physically abused you. Now, did you ever come back and speak to your mom about it? Have you settled that issue?
Well, I was in high school, and you know, I finished high school. I mean, with the grace of God, I got into cocaine, but school was like my main thing. School was like my main focus. So I strived to work harder and harder and harder at school. I took business classes before school and after school, and you know, but I was still partying and still getting high off cocaine and getting, you know, drunk and being promiscuous, and basically, you know, I would run away.
So you would abuse yourself also?
Yeah, I was hurting myself. I was self-destructive. And basically, you know, my mom just, you know, my mom was like, you know, oh, she's acting like a teenager, so she would just kind of let it go. And my stepdad at the time, there was a lot of issues going on, but when I ran away, I didn't care because I was like, this man's not abusing me, you know. So, but you know, I met my first father's dad, and I got involved with him, you know, and then I got pregnant. I moved in with him. I got pregnant, and you know, yeah, my first daughter. So I told him that one thing I would not tolerate is a man hitting me, because I grew up watching my mom get beat down. And, you know, and he said, okay, you know, so my daughter was 2, my first daughter at the time, and he beat me. But at the time, we were having problems staying in a home or getting our own home because we were young. So we went back to my mom's, and my stepdad was there, and this is before she was 2. My mom used to hold her. She used to take care of her for me before I went to work. And I told my daughter's dad, I said, I don't like the way he looks at her. You know, like I would just have images of him coming to the room in the middle of the night and just like, you know, like just having his way with me. And I would have those images and just think of him touching my daughter, and it would drive me crazy. And I would tell my daughter's dad, I don't want him around my daughter. I'm going to grab the knife and stab him, you know.
Right.
So he told me, we got to tell your mom, you know. And
so this was all building up already.
Yeah, I would never say nothing. I would
Right.
never say nothing. I was kept my mouth shut, but I couldn't hold it anymore. My daughter's father got incarcerated. He got into some trouble, and I told him, that's it. I can't handle this.
Right.
You know, he looks at her one more time, I'm gonna stab him to death. And you know, so
because of the pain of what you went through.
because I said he's not gonna touch my baby. You know, I was like, no.
Right.
So then he told me, put your mom on the phone. He told her. My mom cried. She turned around and told me, because there was one time when she told me, if anybody does anything to you or touches you, you tell me, you know. But the communication was like too strong, where
it was just stern.
Like
and
yeah,
direct.
like you know what, you know. And then the way they would talk to me, like my aunts, the way they were raised and brought up, you know, it was.
And the majority of your family, where are they from?
From Mexico.
So your family is from Mexico.
Yeah,
okay.
from Mexico. My mom's from Guadalajara. So basically, she told me, if anybody ever touches you, tell me, you know. And so when he told her, you know, she was on the phone and she was crying, and she gave me the phone back, and I was crying because I already knew.
Was your stepfather?
No, when my daughter's father, my first daughter's father told my mom, she was crying, and I was sitting there. She gave me the phone, and she was crying, and then, you know, like at the time I already knew what was going on, So I started crying and I was scared, and he goes, you know, I'm sorry I had to do this, baby. I don't want nothing to happen to you and the baby, you know. So he just basically wanted it out, you know.
Mhm.
And so he told her, and you know, got off the phone, and she just started yelling at me, telling me, you know, in Spanish, if it wasn't true that this man did this to you, you ran away. Why'd you come back? Why'd you keep coming back? You know,
Right.
and she was really like in denial,
Mhm.
you know, in denial. And I just told her, well, now you know, mother, you know, and nothing's gonna happen to my daughter, you know.
Right.
And
What's your relationship with your mom today?
not too good.
So are you guys communicating today?
She tries to be, she tries to be really strong for her mom, because her mom is really still going through stuff with her brother there. So she's right now, she's in a red minus, red minus state of mind. To say, and she tries to be there, but she can only
I can only just.
so much. She can only listen to her, because then she starts to get her, and then brings her back to something and gets her upset. So she keeps it limited, and you know, hi, how are you doing? And she knows when to that cut off.
Right. Do you feel you're still attached to your mom emotionally? Do you feel that maybe some of the
Emotionally, yes.
emotionally you feel?
Because she shared with me. See, I left my daughter's dad, like when he came out of jail. My mom. What happened is I went to go get help, to try to go get to counseling. My daughter's dad got out, you know.
What kind of counseling were you looking for?
Why? Just help. I wanted somebody to help me within myself, because
Right.
I knew that
Something
being
wasn't
sexually,
right.
yeah, like, you know, like I don't want, I'm a mother now. I don't want to bring this, you know.
Right.
So we went to this place, and basically the place turned everything around. They had police officers down the house, the children's
Right.
services ready to take my daughter. It was a nightmare. I was just like, oh my goodness, you know, like it was awful. So I just kind of like, I went to work. They used to call me and torment me, telling me that they're going to take my daughter away because I'm an unfit mother, having her around this man, and just awful things, you know. And I just kind of got my daughter and left. Went to my mother-in-law's at the time and
Right.
just hid there. They were looking for me, and I didn't want to share nothing. I even had to quit my job because I didn't want them calling me at work, you know.
Right.
I was
Yeah.
going through a lot.
Now, when you got married to David, we're going to go back a little bit, not to be insensitive or anything, but we're going to go back to the communication part. When you got married to David, did you discuss any of this with David?
When we were dating, I told him about it. I told him that, you know, I had issues and,
Mhm.
you know, that I had gone through
But
that.
did you define the issues? Did you kind of go
Yeah, I
into
told
depth?
him about
Okay,
it.
so you sat down and
I
you're
told him
aware of
about
it.
it.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because now it's like when you bake, you have different ingredients that come in. So you have your ingredients that you're coming in, you're bringing into this marriage. You have your ingredients. So when the miscommunication comes in, just what I've heard so far, there was alcohol in yours. You had a stepfather. There was abuse, domestic violence. There was drugs involved. So you can almost see why there is miscommunication, or there's a struggle because maybe it wasn't modeled for you guys. So what I'd like to do is to be able to, we kind of identified the problem. There's some problems, meaning, you know, your past. We want to move forward. You've been married for a year. You have a blended family. So what we'd like to do is just maybe establish some small, short-term goals. And probably the number one goal would be timing. We want to go over that. I think there's a time to communicate because there's a time where she may, I know you shared you're still kind of attached to, you know, your past, your family. So this may not be a good time for you to maybe bring up a subject in your household. You know, maybe there's a time to wait. So communicating, we want to maybe just establish small steps, realistic steps. And, you know, what would you say, where do you see the most miscommunication coming in at home? When you discuss, if you had to fill in the blank, we miscommunicate the most when it comes to
Kids.
Okay. Would you say that's
Yeah, I would say that's okay.
the kids? Okay, so the kids. Now, when it comes to meeting their needs or to seeing them, emotional needs, what would it be?
Well, one thing I noticed, like with his daughter being there, is like.
Now this is the oldest one.
Yeah, the oldest one is like, you know, now that she's in the picture, there's a big change the way he acts towards me and my children,
Mhm.
and my son agrees to that. You know, I feel that he's not. you know, he's not he doesn't treat us the same way he does when she's not there.
Mhm.
You know, like most of his attention goes towards her.
This is the oldest one,
Yes,
the
the one that
25.
stays there Monday through Friday. So it's we're doing it. So I just feel like, you know, like, well, like what about us?